Hi, and welcome to this week's energy forecast. I'm Rachel Thompson Phillips, the creator of the BU Oracle cards and the Intuition Alignment online program. I am also a speaker and coach. And this week's energy forecast is for the week of August the 27th through till September the 2nd. So we are now coming to close to the last quarter of this year of 2018. So this week's overall theme is about asking yourself if you're being too hard on your own self. We've just come through the full moon, and a lot of the time what happens when we go through a full moon period is that it brings up so much thoughts, emotions, and sometimes experiences and stories that we've heard ourselves say. And what this all does is it brings it all to the surface, but sometimes we're going back in and asking ourselves the question of, am I making the same mistake, and emotionally beating ourselves up? So this week is a really beautiful week because we really do get to reverse engineer, and this is what makes this week quite different. So let's go in and see how this unfolds for us. So Monday and Tuesday is about rise above. Wednesday through till Friday is about spiritual being, and Saturday and Sunday is frustration. So this is where we can use oracles as a really great way to give us insight and wisdom, and then be able to reverse engineer, because as you can see, come the weekend, it's saying that, frustrations are coming up. Now, frustrations are things that they simmer away in the surface, in the background, and sometimes we deny them and push them away. And it was also a card that came up last week. So there's also like a very great hidden meaning that there are things that we are not addressing, and they are simmering away in the background and having quite a big impact on us by the looks of the cards, because it's been playing out for the last couple of weeks. So when we get to reverse engineer, we actually be able to go in and ask ourselves the question of what is really going on for you at a core level. What is the full moon, and what is these last couple of weeks? What has been the triggers, and what has been brought to the surface? Now, a lot of the times we will just only look at the story or the experience without being able to dig a little bit deeper to be able to go, what is actually coming up to the surface? Is there things around lack of self-love, lack of self-value? Has there been things that have been triggered that have made you feel like you are not doing enough or being enough, which again is an element of questioning your belief in your own self, and whether you feel that you are making your levels of expectations way too high for your own self. Because what can happen sometimes is we can create a standard for our own self and have a different standard for other people, and the difference between the two is really, really dramatic, yet you really wouldn't treat another person the same way that you're treating yourself. And this is where we need to be able to take a step back and be able to ask ourselves the question, are you being too hard on your own self? And this is not about, giving yourself permission to not be honest or truthful in the fact of, if you feel that you're not getting shit done or you're not living up to certain standards, then it's okay to, be upset at yourself. But if you're emotionally beating yourself up, that is not something that is going to generate any greatness. And this is where this reverse engineer comes in perfectly this week, because as you can see, the frustrations, if we work on the core issues, it will be able to help us move through any of the dramas or situations that present themselves this week, and be able to rise above them, and just not allow ourselves to get caught up in that drama. And that drama is not always initiated by outside or external forces. It can also be what you are doing to your own self, and this is where being too hard on yourself. Rise above that pattern of behavior, and remember that you can always learn to do something new. So rise above being able to emotionally beat yourself up or think you're not good enough, and be able to look at what is something a lot more conducive that's going to help generate more motivation, more love, more compassion for your own self, that's going to help you to be able to take that inspired action. Because the more that you emotionally beat yourself up, the more you're just going to spiral downwards, and nothing great is generated from there. And then when we've been able to rise above this situation, we're going to be able to have a much healthier level of understanding of remembering that you are here as one part as a human and the other part as a spiritual experience. The human experience is about learning lessons and growing and developing in itself. And we do that through the experiences, and the experiences allow us to be able to take away what is the lesson. If we take away the lesson, we don't have to get caught up in the story or the experience again. And being able to remember that sometimes they say in order to be able to learn a new habit, it takes, I think, 28 days. But there's also another saying that says that it takes you 7 times to be able to do something before it becomes something new. So if you're making the same mistake, 5 or 6 times, you're nearly at that full completion cycle where you've just about learnt everything that you needed to do. Maybe the missing part is about the way that you're treating yourself and being like really hard on yourself. And that's causing internal frustration. And when we get these internalized things going on within our own self, we come to a screaming halt, because then we get so engaged in the emotional internal dialogue that we're having with ourselves that we forget to be able to understand what the lesson is. And so therefore sometimes that's why we do need to come back in and revisit that same mistake that you think that same mistake or that same lesson, because you're getting caught up in the superficial things and not being able to take on board just the lesson. And this, I think, is an incredibly powerful week, because we do, through using the guidance of oracle cards, this is where we get to be able to help be able to navigate through all of the, what energy is coming up this week, and being able to go, okay, well, if this is what's happening, I've got all the cards all over the place at the moment, so let me get them all sorted. So if we know that by the end of the weekend we're going to be, just so frustrated, then let's work with that and see how that's affecting the start of the week, and being able to come to that place where we can come to a much more peaceful place within our own self and be able to navigate through this energy in a much more conducive way, where we feel much more ease and flow and start to be a lot more gentler with ourselves. One really great motto that I've been practicing and doing with myself, and I want to be able to share with you, which is what I also share with my students inside my intuition alignment course, is when you've been programmed to always emotionally either beat yourself up or have extremely high expectations, and you're not hitting them all the time, and you move back into that space of I'm not feeling good enough. One of the greatest ways that I find to be able to work with this is that the more that we fight with that, the more that we try and find inner peace with that, sometimes we just keep hitting our head up against a brick wall. So we want to be able to have something that we can inject to be able to help rewire it and change the way that we do certain things. One of the greatest little things is a forgiveness mantra. And it goes like this: I am sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Repeat that again. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And every time that you find that you go back into these old patterns, that brings up these frustrations and reminds you and you forget to be able to remember that you have a spiritual aspect, and you also have your human aspect that is teaching you to learn to be able to connect in with your intuition, but also being able to understand that there is a human experience that can sometimes not always follow that flow, and being kinder with yourself and being able to catch yourself with that and rise above that internal dialogue where you are emotionally beating yourself up. This is a place where things start to become a really great game changer, and learning to forgive yourself is one of the greatest gifts that you can give to yourself. So I really hope that this mantra is something that you will be able to help yourself and be able to access and utilize and remember it. And even if you want to be able to record that forgiveness mantra on your phone, so that you can play it over and over to help you change that rewiring within your subconscious ways, and be able to learn to do different patterns, learn to do different things so that you can be the person that you want to grow into. And it all starts with creating healthy changes, and being able to do them on a consistent level is what helps be able to transform that change into a new way of beingness. So I wish you all an incredibly fabulous week. If this is something that you feel that will help others, please feel free to share and subscribe to my channel. I'll get it all out this morning. So have a wicked week. Much love to you all, and take care.